Mick, how significant is this for Australian boxing? Like, not many heavyweights get to fight for a world title from this country, let alone an interim even. So how huge is this for Australian boxing?
Talk about how huge it is, not only for Australian boxing, for any heavyweight in the division at 26 years old. He's only turned 26 last month. At 26 years old, 12-0, like, this is massive for any young athlete that wants to take on the world at the heavyweight division. So I don't think there's too many heavyweights that have had this opportunity at such a young age. So to be an Aussie and be a part of Tasman Fighters, it's a major boost, for our boxing economy anyway. If you have a look at the fighters that Justis has fought from day one, from the very first fight, he fought for an Australian title. Like, it's never been done before, and it'll probably never be done again. That was a 10-round fight. So for an amateur to step up into the pros, his very first fight for a 10-rounder, he's obviously special. So we've known that Justis has got the ability to do this. It's probably come a little bit quicker than what we expected, but these opportunities don't come along. And I think he's the perfect opponent for Justis. He's only 18 fights, 18 wins. He's no losses, so he hasn't got a massive boxing background. He hasn't got an amateur background. So I think this is the perfect fight for Justis Huni.
How far away is he from fighting an Usyk or a Dubois? How many fights away do you think that could be?
Realistically, 12 to 18 months tops. Just see how he goes. He's got to get through this fight first, and we take every fight as it comes. But realistically, 12 to 18 months. Because if he wins this fight and wins it well, he sits there. He's right there for a major fight with the WBA, and the king of the WBA is Alexander Usyk, and there's an opportunity there to either take that fight with Usyk or Usyk vacates. But after this particular fight, the WBA is going to order the mandatory. So mandatories usually take about 6 to 9 months. So once they do that, either he fights Justis or he vacates.
Has there been a lack of exciting talent in the heavyweight division in Australia?
I think we've got a lot of good athletes in Australia, a lot of good fighters, a lot of good heavyweights, but it takes a lot of work to get to this stage. Justis is in the gym every day, and a lot of these guys, they're part-time fighters. They don't have the support. We've got a lot of good talent, but you just got to have the support around you as well. So, look, Australia's a breeding ground for not only fighters, footballers. Like, we've got some really good stars down here. We just need to give them a bit of love and help them on their way.
Obviously, it'd be nice to have Justis getting an interim title. Jai, the king of the cruiserweights, one of the pound-for-pound best in the world at the moment. Another feather in the Tasman Fighters cap.
Well, obviously this fight will be like 12. Justis will come out about 12 hours before Jai fights. So in the UK. So unfortunately, I won't be able to be in the UK. However, we've got Tasman Fighters will have 2 world champions fighting on the same day. So it's massive, and it's massive for Australian boxing. So we're excited. We're looking forward to it, and I couldn't be any more proud of Justis. And Mark Wilson's done a great job. Mark Wilson's back at the helm, and we're excited about Mark. And Mark's he's working on a few things now, and look out for the future.
Mick, you talked about how hard it's been to sort of manage his career and get the fights you want, or just sort of plot it. Do you think this fight changes things from the management perspective and just sort of gives him a bit more power if he wins it to call the shots?
Definitely, of course. The problem is with Justis, and it's hard to get opponents, and guys aren't going to step in the ring unless they're going to get a payday. And guys that are close to being at the top, they don't want to take the risk with Justis. So we've had to pull back the last 3 fights and just keep Justis busy, but it's got him to where he is now. So with Justis winning this, things are only going to get harder, because guys like this end other fighters' careers. So as far as the management position, it's going to be a lot harder as well. We're playing with the big boys, so it's not like guys are going to jump in the ring for a Mars bar and a packet of chips. They're going to want to jump in the ring and get paid. So it makes things a lot harder.
Why will he win, Mick?
Why will he win? Good question. He'll win because we all know who Justis Huni is. He's the best heavyweight to ever come out of this part of the world. The amateur career and what he's done as a young athlete. He missed out on the Olympics because of injury. He was the favourite. He was, $1.30 favourite to take out the gold in that particular Olympics. Justis Huni is a generational fighter, and it will be a long time before we see another natural talent at this size move the way he does, not only this part of the world, on earth. So it's a big rap, but he deserves it. He's done the hard yards, and he's done everything that's been asked of him. Not only as an amateur, as a pro. He's a you talk to Mark. Mark will tell you how good he is to train. Turns up, never says no. He's got all the ingredients to go all the way.
No, I feel pretty confident. Since making the decision, I've had a positive mindset, and just got to work and started digging in. This is a massive opportunity for myself, in my career, my life. So I just can't wait to take on this challenge on the 7th of June.
What about, there was some talk you might need surgery a couple of months ago, Justis. How's your elbow, and will you have the op?
The elbow is fine. The elbow feels 100% again, and it probably even feels better than what it, well, I can't really remember what it felt like to throw a proper jab, but it feels very good. It's snapping out very nicely. And hitting the pads pretty good. So can't wait to get in there and use it on my opponent.
Why do you think you win this fight?
I just think I'm the better boxer. Better ring IQ. I just believe I'm just going to outbox this guy. So I'm pretty confident in it.
You got a message for him, mate? Or how do you think the fight's going to play out?
I think he's going to come and try and take my head off. Use his I believe he's only got one thing against me, and that's power. But it's going to hit and move. And I think my work rate, my speed, my movement will outdo him any day of the week.
Excited to show that side of your game to the rest of the world. We've seen it for years, but it's always been the knock on you that you don't have the knockout power, but every time you show them. Yeah,
look, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome going over there and fighting in front of a whole bunch of new eyes. The pressure's not going to be on me. The pressure's on him. I've taken this fight on 5 weeks, and I'm just confident to go over there and put in my best work.
Do you feel he's ever faced an opponent like yourself?
No, I don't think he's ever versed a boxer like myself. Everyone he's versed has all just been people that stand in front of him and choose to bang on with him.
Where does this rate amongst the biggest challenges of your career? Obviously, you're going over there, 5 weeks' notice.
Look, it's the same as every other fight. Every fight is a challenge. I look to overcome it as I have done in my past 12 fights, and I'll do it again.
Do you embrace that challenge?
Yeah, I love it. I love the challenge. I love the hard work, the mental grind. You got to win mental battles every day, and then you get the reward at the end of it.
What about Justis? You're so close to the real massive fights. If you win this, Dubois, Usyk, Joseph Parker, do you think you could beat it in Usyk?
Yeah, 100%. If I do all the work in the gym behind the closed doors, I believe I can beat anyone in the world. But I've got a task ahead of me in 5 weeks' time, and I'll overcome that, and then go on to bigger and better things.
So you don't fear Usyk? You don't no fear of those guys?
I don't fear any of those guys, man. Look, we're all in this to do boxing, and we just want to be the best that we can be.
Josh?
Do blondes have more fun, Justis?
Blondes do have more fun. And that's why we're going to go over there and win and go have some fun. And I'm going to stay blonde.
What about Justis, your style? I mean, are you comfortable with your style now? Because I know you wanted to be a banger at one point. There was talk about your knockout power, but are you now comfortable with the type of fighter that you want to be?
I'm comfortable in being me, being Justis Huni, the boxer, hitting and moving, the way I used to box coming up through the amateurs, and that's me. Like, that's my style, and I'm sticking with it. So.
You've been a student of the game for so many years. What do you think it's going to mean for Australian boxing to have a heavyweight world champion eventually?
It's massive, you know. It opens up a lot of doors, even for the heavyweights here in Australia. We have a lot of talent coming through right now, so you know, it's just putting heavyweight boxing in Australia on the map.
What about Justis? I know you love Australian boxing. Tim Tszyu, he gets a world title shot too. A huge fight against Fundora. Who do you think wins that fight and why?
Look, I'll be supporting Tim all the way. You know, I always back the Australian, so you know, I give him. I'm sure he'll give it his best shot, and you know, that's all you can do at the end of the day. I'm backing him.
Yourself and Jai have come up through the game, 12 hours apart. You're fighting on such massive stages, both. What's that mean for you? And obviously, your close relationship with Jai.
It's massive, man. It's massive for Tasman fighters. You know, we are the original two of Tasman fighters, and we will be fighting on the same day for world titles. So it's massive, man. It's life changing for myself, and to be doing it alongside a man like Opetaia, who has been carrying Australian boxing, is massive.
What do you learn from the Lorena and Tabiti fights, Justis?
Sorry?
What do you learn from the Lorena and Tabiti fights?
I've learned a lot. You know, it's definitely taught me a lot. They were hard fights, man, and I think it took a lot. Like, it took all of my boxing IQ to overcome those guys, because they're not just like normal heavyweights that just stand there and just want to bang. These guys are like slick, move around the ring. It was hard to land a punch on them, but like I said, I overcome any challenge, and that's what makes it fun for me.